Hey everyone, my name is Haydn and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll talk about how to understand your salary expectation as a software engineer, but these tips can also apply to other industries as well. So the hardest part of any interview process is the "what is your salary expectation" question. This is an extremely tricky question as you don't want to go above their salary expectation because the likelihood is you'll look silly for going in too high, and also they won't give you the job because they won't want to pay you that much. And you don't want to go in too low because then you're essentially losing out on money that you could earn as a salary. So it's very hard to find this kind of range that you need to be operating in. But what I'm going to talk about in this video is some tips and tricks of how you can find that range that you should be operating in. So the first thing I want to talk about is salary jumps, salary raises, the kind of end of year performance chats you might have with your manager. So the reason why this video and this topic is really important to get right is because from my experience, I found it's kind of a relative process. So your salary jumps and your salary raises, pay rises and things like this are all relative to your previous salary. So let's say that your previous salary was £10,000. Normally when you get pay rises, they're only anywhere between kind of 1 to, 20-25% of your salary. So they kind of basically like compound interest, they're just going up in little chunks or percentage changes. It's very uncommon. I have heard of it done and it is possible, but it's very uncommon that you go like, oh, last year I was paid £10,000, but my colleagues are getting paid this much and people around me in the industry are getting paid this much. So I think I need to jump all the way up to this much now. It's more common that it's a relative percentage change from your current salary. So if you're on £10,000, you'll jump and it will be a 5% change or a 10% change or a 20% change. It's all relative based on your previous salary. So this kind of puts a lot more emphasis on when you start out that your salary needs to be in the right ballpark, because if you're at a company and you're there for 5-10 years, it's all relative to your previous salary. So it's only going to go up by what you're on at the start, and your start is your base point. It is possible to, change job and then rebase yourself. So what you can do is change job and go, I was on this much at this last place, but now I think I'm valued at this much, and it might be a lot more than 20%, but I think I'm worth it because I bring these skills. But most of the time, a salary jump or salary changes are going to be a percentage change from your current salary. So this begs the question of, how do I understand what my salary range should be for the industry I'm going in as my first job? And the next few tips should help you understand that. So making these videos, I understand they go all the way around the world, and what's probably relative in London for me is not probably relative for other people in other parts of the world. So the first thing you need to understand is your local regional differences. So stuff that I say might not directly apply to where you are, and similarly you might have stuff in your local area that doesn't apply to where I am. So understanding your kind of local environment and the way that they work is like a really big point of this, and there might be cultural norms that this environment does that my environment doesn't do that you need to kind of be aware of. So if you have kind of friends and family in the area that you can talk to about this, that would be a really good starting point in order to understand what's going on. Plus there's lots of online forums, kind of Reddit, that you can go on that can also help you understand that. Yes, so where you are in the world will really dictate how much salary you get. So it's quite common knowledge that the Silicon Valley, California area is probably the highest paid salary of software engineers. That's because there's lots of technology companies there and lots of software developers there, so the competition is high. Also, the cost of living and other kind of amenities like that is also very high, so salaries need to be high in order to compensate their employees to come and work there. So this is something that doesn't cross apply between regions. So you can't be a software engineer in London and expect to be paid the Silicon Valley salary, because the cost of living in London is not as high as it is in living in California. So it's very unlikely that a company is going to pay you that much. So you need to work out what is the going rate in your regional location. So in London, what is the going rate? What are normal people paid? What's the kind of brackets of salaries here? And you can even go deeper down into that. You can go, right, in the industry I'm working in, maybe you're working in telecoms, maybe you're working in finance, maybe you're working in, startups. What is the kind of, within your regional location, what are the kind of differences in those industries? Because, one might pay more than the other, and you need to be able to understand that. So how can you understand what the kind of differences are in your regional area? So there's kind of two websites that I find very helpful. One is glassdoor.com, which is an anonymous review site which employees and interviewees go on and review the company. So they talk about the interview process, they talk about, and employees there also talk about, what salaries they're on and other kind of things like this. That will give you a good understanding of, in in that area, how much are employees paid, and you can even deep dive down into the company. So you can say, right, at this company X that I'm applying for this title, you know, what is the salary expectation of them there? So basically what you can do here is, if you find an industry that you want to work in, you can look at companies in that industry, and you can look at the salary ranges in that industry, and you can look at the titles and what salary ranges apply for those titles. And then when you're interviewing in the process, you can have a good informed decision of what they're paying their current employees and that you can ask for. I've also seen LeetCode have a kind of a interview process, and they talk about salaries and what they did in the interview as well. That's, I don't think, as well organized as the kind of Glassdoor. You can literally go company, you know, what was the interview process, what are the salaries being paid, whereas Glassdoor is more of a kind of a forum, Reddit based one, where you're kind of just, here's my experience, this is the title I've got, and this is the salary I've got, and there's no real, because it's like time ordered, you know, you have to go and find the posts that people posted. So I'd say your kind of best bet here would be glassdoor.com, and I'll leave a link in the description below. Do remember that, you know, these are anonymous reviews, so there is no way that glassdoor.com has actually vetted that this person works at this company. So you could have malicious people out there just posting random anonymous articles, and, you know, Glassdoor doing their best to vet these out. But, you know, everything you read on glassdoor.com you should take with a pinch of salt, because it might not necessarily be true. It might be different in your situation. Policies, you know, might have changed in the companies, so they might not be paying people that much anymore. People might be lying, you know, they could just put a ridiculously high number on there or a ridiculously low number on there, and, you know, it just skews the results. So, you know, with like everything you read on the internet, take it with a pinch of salt. Don't believe it firsthand, but, you know, just use it to inform your decision making. Yeah, one other company as well that I just want to add is Stack Overflow have a salary calculator that you can use. This is not necessarily, it's not necessarily company focused. It's more kind of your experience, the technologies you use, and the location you're in. Stack Overflow can be used as kind of gaining your industry and your technologies like Python or Java that you're using to gain an understanding of what the kind of salary expectations in that world look like. And then you can kind of use Glassdoor to dig down even further. Put links in the description for both. They're both free, so you can sign up and use them. They're really good. I've been using them for my entire career, and I'd fully recommend them. So what happens if the company you're applying for isn't on Glassdoor and you want to kind of go in with an informed decision? What I would do would be look for similar companies or their competitors and see what they're paying them, because the likelihood is that that company will be paying similar amounts for their employees. So that's obviously a good way to kind of get at least a rough range of what's going on. So yeah, and then my next tip would be, like, if, you know, your company isn't on these websites, then you're going to have to reach out to your network. So whether that be friends, family that are in the industry, people you know that are in the industry. Remember, they're not going to know the answers to the questions. They're still just going to give you a ballpark figure, and they're probably just going to use the internet to Google it, or, you know, they might have the idea of asking a friend or a family member is they might have a friend that is at that company that might be able to give you a better informed decision, which is obviously a super bonus. But please do not put any pressure on your friends and family to, like, kind of find that information out for you. You know, it's a good deed that they're doing for you if they do come back. So, you know, don't force people to, you know, answer this question. And also, salary is a very, very touchy subject for a lot of people. It's a subject that a lot of people don't really like talking about to friends and family. So, you know, be respectful of the time if you're going to ask it for them, and don't try not to ask for specific numbers. Try to give ranges, because it would be like a more sympathetic way of asking for them, rather than being like, hey, how much did you get paid? Be like, you know, what range are you in? So then, yeah, if you don't have friends and family, and the likelihood if you're watching this kind of video series is that you're probably through or going through the interview process, is that you'll probably be dealing with recruiters or recruitment agencies. They should be, because they've seen lots of candidates, and they've, you know, it's their job to be like in this recruitment process. They've probably seen people with similar experience to yourself or a similar background to yourself. So they're a really good way to kind of judge, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Recruiter, you know, what would you say my salary range should be given my experience? And they'll hopefully give you a ballpark figure. It's always good to ask multiple recruiters if you've got multiple recruiters on the go, because, you know, what one recruiter says might be different to what another recruiter says. They might have different experiences. They might know different companies that pay different amounts. So, you know, the more information you can kind of gather on this, the better. Also, recruiters might have placed people in those companies that you want to work for, or the company that you're looking to kind of gauge an understanding from. So they might be able to tell you firsthand from experience, you know, we placed person X here and they got paid Y. So, you know, that's obviously like really useful information that you can use. But again, like with all this, be respectful. Don't demand that you like find understand out what the salary is, otherwise you're not going to go forward with an application. You know, salary is kind of one of these ones that kind of a lot of the time gets decided at the end of the process, and it's a basis of, you know, your skills that you can bring to the company plus how well you performed in the interview process. So you can't, you know, get to the end and be like, you should pay me millions and millions and millions, because if you didn't perform very well in the interview process, you know, there's going to be doubts there, and they're going to be questioning, why does he think he's valuing himself at this much and wants to be paid that, but he didn't perform very well. It's essentially a privilege to have a salary and be employed, so don't abuse that privilege and think that you should be getting paid millions because, you know, someone in Silicon Valley gets paid that much. You know, it's all relative. Like I said at the start of the video, the pay increases are all relative to what you're on now, and always keep that kind of in mind. The whole idea of this video is that I wanted to kind of like help you build up a better picture in your head of how to understand that, because it is a difficult question to answer. Hopefully I've given you a couple of tools and tips and websites that you can use to go out and find that information, and then this gives you more kind of understanding and a better picture of when you go into that process, someone asks you that question. You know, you don't have to go in the process and be like, I think I should get paid 21,552 pence. You don't have to be that precise. You can just give ranges and be like, look, based on what I kind of know about you, based on the skills I can bring, I think I should be around about the 20 to 30,000 pound mark, and then, you know, you can decide on a number in between there. So there we go. Hopefully that gives you some advice and understanding of how to, you know, build this picture of your salary expectation, and when somebody does ask you this question in the future, you'll be able to go back with a more informed response back to them, which is always good. If you think I've missed anything in this video, be sure to comment below, let other people know. Other people are probably going through the interview process, probably similar to yourself if you're watching this interview, so, you know, any tips and tricks in the comments below would be really helpful for everybody watching this video. Again, be sure to like and subscribe and all the good YouTube stuff for me. It helps me out. I've got other career videos on my YouTube channel, so be sure to check out those playlists, plus other kind of like software engineering related content like coding tutorials and other general software engineering topics. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.